It's officially quarter 4, and there are a few tasks to complete before the end of the year. Listen up to hear what we have on our to do list. Hello, and welcome to the Wealth Minded MD podcast with your money best friends. I'm Dr. Brittany Helford.
And I'm Dr. Alicia Taylor.
And of course, we're here to help you build wealth and make good money decisions so you can create the life you desire with more control over your time.
If you've been looking for a financial planner who truly gets you, let me tell you about Bonafide Finance. Ben and his team at Bonafide Finance are like the primary care physicians for your finances. They take the time to understand your goals, meet with you regularly for financial checkups, and build real trust and rapport so your plan grows and adapts as your life changes.
What really sets Ben apart is his expertise. He understands student loans for high-income earners, something most planners overlook. And he's a tax strategist, helping you invest your money in the most tax-efficient way possible. And the best part, Bonafide Finance operates on a flat fee model. So you always know exactly what you're paying. No commissions, no hidden costs, just honest financial guidance.
Ben's approach isn't just about making your money grow, it's about making sure your wealth aligns with your life. So if you're looking for someone who can manage your investments, grow your wealth, file your taxes, and help you with your student loans, there's only one choice: Bonafide Finance.
Book a consultation at bonafidefinance.com/wealthmindedmd or email hello@bonafidefinance.com and tell them we sent you. All right, Alicia. So I was scrolling on, it was either Instagram or Facebook, and I saw a picture of you and your mother who looks a lovely girl. You gonna age well because your mama looking good. Okay.
Not my mom, but kudos.
That was not your mom?
That was not my mom. Yeah, I haven't posted my mom for a while.
Oh my goodness. Okay, now I got to look back at the picture because I just assumed you all were the same shade and all of the things.
The woman is lovely and very beautiful, but not my mother.
This is what I get for making assumptions. You know what they say. People don't make assumptions. Ask questions. Be curious. All right. Well, not your mother, but you had on a medal and you had just completed a race. So tell us about this because you know I like to run. So I am excited to hear.
Yeah. So my boyfriend is also a physician, and one of the doctors that I think used to work for his organization back in the day passed away. And so his family created a foundation in his honor. It's called the Fremont Foundation. And so each year they host a 5K walk and run race in order to raise money for scholarships and schools around the area. And so in support of that, he signed us up for this 5K race. The founder of the organization is actually who was in the photo that you saw. She is a lovely woman and very vibrant and very nice, but not my mother. And I hadn't raced a 5K in I don't know, at least 5 or 6 years. I like to work out and I want to stay in shape. And lately I've been motivated to run a lot more than I had in the past. But in terms of racing, I just hadn't signed up for a race in a while. But given that this was for charity, I was like, okay, that's fine. I think I had mentioned to you that I do run probably 2 or 3 times a week. So it's not anything crazy. And I will usually run somewhere between 4 and 6 miles on Monday. So Monday is my long run day. And then throughout the week, I might run some shorter distances. Maybe I'll do a couple mile repeats or some 800s or whatever. And I even did this when we were in Greece, mainly because I didn't want to gain weight on the cruise. I did make a point to go to the gym several times. And so anyway, I was kind of approaching this as this is for charity. But he had told them oh, my girlfriend's a runner. And I'm like, why would you say that? I am not I appreciate the confidence that you have in me, but I don't know how this is going to go. And actually, the morning of the race, I woke up with this excruciating headache, which sometimes I do get. I get migraines from time to time. And I thought, maybe did I not hydrate well, or did I eat too much salt the night before? I couldn't figure it out, but I had a really bad migraine. So I wasn't even sure I was going to do the race. But I thought, you know what, Leisha, you can't always do things that you feel like doing. Sometimes you got to do things even though you don't feel like doing them. And today was a chance for me to exercise that. And it was for charity. So I really wanted to show up. It was so funny. They even had like a kiddie race before, similar to your, turkey trot that you talked about before. They had the kids run like a 400-meter race, and it was so cute seeing them race around the track. And they had music out there, a DJ, all the things, and then started the walk. And it was cute because there were so many families out there and had their little babies in strollers. It was almost like a little social event. Like you could see girlfriends in their cute little leggings outfits having a grand old time, taking tons of photos and all this. But there were obviously some of us who were going to run it. It was really interesting because there were these two people in front of me who were clearly very avid runners. I mean, they were like sprinting before the race, trying to warm up. And I'm over here thinking, I need to conserve every bit of energy I have. But they were in front of me. And I'm saying this to say that I like went out way too fast. And you're going out too fast when you're like a half a mile in. And I was like, oh, I'm tired. And I still got the majority of the race to go. So this is going to be interesting. And also, Brittany, there were all these kids. And my pride just kicked in and said, come on, Leisha, I know you're not going to let this 9-year-old beat you. I had pride on the line and all of this, but I made it through the race. It was harder than I anticipated, mainly because I went out way too fast. But that is okay because I had some music on and was sort of doing my own thing and actually ended up doing quite well. I mean, I guess well is relative, but
You could be proud of your accomplishments. You can boast a little bit. It's okay.
oh my gosh. There wasn't like all these super fast runners with me, but I was like a maybe 8-minute mile pace or something like that, which I usually do. I run a lot, but it's usually on the treadmill. So I had a hard time trying to figure out how to pace myself, if you will, on the actual street and stuff. But it was a good learning experience for me. I did not let the 9-year-old beat me. I was like, no, I'm going to win this race. It was fun. I had a great time. Glad I was able to complete the race. And yeah, they had medals out there. I was like, okay, second place female finisher. Sure, I'll take it.
Let's just say that again, people. Second place female finisher.
Yeah, well, first place was way ahead. So I was humbled at the same time, but it worked out well.
One, let me just congratulate you. 8-minute mile pace for a 5K is great. So, congratulations. And you did it despite not feeling well. So, that also is just kudos to you. That's when consistency builds, is when we do the thing that we're supposed to do, even when we don't feel like doing it. So, that is just commendable, Alicia, because there are some days when I'm like, oh, I know I should run, but I'm just going to keep sleeping. So I really love that. And then the fact that you did it for a great cause. So hopefully you can make that like a standard and you could just tell your boyfriend like, hey, you ain't got to tell nobody that I like to run, because then there's additional pressure. So it feels less like a joy run and more like, oh, I need to actually like run to show that he's not lying.
Essentially.
But yeah, I am really proud of you. I think that that is really fun. And one of the things that I've been considering, because being honest, I have not really run more than 4 miles since I've done my 10-mile race. And one of the things that I've been thinking about doing is how can I build in these smaller runs consistently throughout the year to keep me in shape? Because if I'm running for something, then I will more likely do it. It's just kind of having that FOSS or accountability partner that's not a partner, but just like a race that I'm running to. The only other thing that I would say is like, it's you against you. So if you're proud of your accomplishments for getting out there and doing it and running, even if it was a 10-minute mile or a 20-minute mile, it's you against you. So you did the thing and I'm proud of you for doing it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I want to emphasize the slight flex that you said, I haven't run more than 4 miles since my 10-mile race. Like, what? I haven't run 10 miles in like 10 years. So kudos to you for even attempting that, because that is not even on my bingo card. Okay.
We're all individual. We just have to get it in where we can. But Alicia, I'm really happy that you were able to do that. And I'm also happy that it was like a friendly environment for everyone. That's what I love about race day is it's just so uplifting. So I typically can run faster and farther because I know that I'm going to have the support of other people cheering me on and keeping me motivated. So if you are like, I'm racing towards the end of the year, this is where I feel like the race is now, Alicia, towards the end of the year. How do you stay motivated? That we want to use this episode to keep us motivated as we finish 2025 strong. So, Alicia, I have a checklist and I'm curious to hear like what you might have on your checklist for the end of 2025. But this time of year makes me a little bit nervous. It also makes me a little bit anxious. So your girl woke up this morning at 4 a.m.
Oh my God.
I know. Thankfully, the Bible, there's scriptures in there that comforted and gave me peace. I was able to fall back to sleep, but I was anxious about all of the things that I have to do because this year's coming to a close. So the first thing on my checklist is just reviewing our retirement accounts. I know I kind of set it up in the beginning of the year of how much, what percentage I want to contribute from each of my paychecks, but then I got to double check to make sure that has happened. This is one of the things that I look at every 6 months, but I start to feel a little bit anxious about it and go in and do the calculations. Okay, where do I stand? How many more pay periods do I have? Do I need to adjust this to decrease the amount per paycheck so that maybe I have a little bit of extra money to spend during the holidays while also maxing out the retirement accounts and ensuring that with working multiple jobs for my husband, et cetera, that we haven't overfunded some of these accounts, which I've also talked about on this podcast. So when we think about the retirement accounts, I'm particularly looking at our 401k or 403b contributions, and the limits for 2025 are $23,500 if you're under the age of 50 and $31,000 if you're over the age of 50. So this is where I'm looking at, did we max it out? How close are we to maxing it out? And are there any adjustments to either accelerate this or to make sure we complete it for the end of the year? And then another thing that I'm thinking about is our 457B. Now we have whole episodes on 457Bs and why you should or should not use them. But for me, this is one of the accounts that both my husband and I use in order to save on taxes and also to understand where that lands. And the 457B has the same contribution limits for 2025 as the 401k or the 403B. Now these contribution limits will increase next year. This is where, at least for 2025, I'm trying to maximize them. Is this something that's on your radar towards the end of the year? Are you like, no, I already set my stuff up. I know it's going to happen, so I don't even pay attention.
I actually do need to pay attention to this. And that is because my job does not allow us to use fractions of percentages when putting in what percentage of our paycheck we want to go into these accounts. So let me give you an example. If someone wants to contribute the maximum into their work 401k, you usually do the formula 23,500, which is the maximum amount, and you divide that by your salary. And what you get is the percentage that you should enter into your work portal. So let's say that percentage is, I don't know, 7.5%. At my job, we can't put in 7.5%. You have to choose 7% or 8%. And if you choose 8%, then you're going to potentially overfund it. If you choose 7%, you're going to potentially underfund it by a little bit. And so this is the time of the year where I take a look and see, okay, if I'm on track to underfund it, maybe I need to increase that percentage to, for example, 8%, given my recent example, in order to max it out. And so to answer your question, I might be a little bit over, a little bit under. And so this is the time of the year where I make those tweaks, if you will. I do not contribute to my job's 457B because we do not have really great distribution options. And so that is a choice that I made. But I know my boyfriend, for example, he does contribute to his. Depending on what other financial obligations he has going on in that year, he may not max it out. And so this is the time of the year where he's thinking, all right, do I have the extra disposable income to contribute the maximum to this 457B account or not? And so instead of contributing an equal percentage each paycheck, he kind of does like a really small percentage each paycheck and uses the end of the year to kind of top things off if he feels like he has the disposable income. And so this is a good time to bring this up because other people listening might approach it very similarly. In the same vein, I am the kind of person where January 1st, I'm like getting ready to do my backdoor Roth IRA. Like I do it like the first of the year. I move the money from my money market fund at the brokerage fund into the traditional IRA. The next day, January 2nd, I'm moving it from the traditional IRA to the Roth IRA and I'm investing the money. So I do it at the very beginning of each year. But I have realized that not everybody is as anal as I
That's
am
me.
when it comes to that. And so they may be the kind of folks that are like, as long as I get it in sometime during the year, I'm fine. And so this is the time of the year that they are saying, have I done my backdoor Roth IRA yet this year? And if not, maybe I need to do that. I like what you have here in that this is the time of the year where you want to make sure that you've maximized all of your tax advantage accounts. And I actually think it's smart to do it this way because I don't know about you, Brittany, but this is the time of the year where my paycheck usually increases because I've usually hit my Social Security max. So for anyone who wasn't aware, there's a certain maximum that you contribute to Social Security each year. And once you hit that maximum, you stop contributing to Social Security for the remainder of that year. And the extra money goes to you in your paycheck. So a lot of folks depending on how much you make during the second half of the year, their paychecks get a lot larger. And so they have the extra income to top off some of these pre-tax accounts. Other people might use the extra income to sort of save for Christmas gifts and things like that. But I usually love topping up these pre-tax accounts during this time of the year because I usually have a little extra money in my paycheck to do so.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I am definitely one of those people who are doing the backdoor Roth conversions like December 15th. I'm sorry, people, do as I say and not as I do. Life gets really busy around here. So, Leisha, maybe I should just hire you to do some of this stuff for me, girl. Please just do it for me. But when we're thinking about the Roth conversions, that is something that you can do up to the tax filing deadline, but it just makes it a lot cleaner if you do it within the calendar year. So, it's something that I now make sure that I do like in the November range. And I love what you said about how your boyfriend appraises the 457B because you're right. There are some years where I have not maxed that account out depending on what our needs are, what our tax situation is going to look like, and if we're going to need that additional income. So I like the approach to fund it a little bit because you're going to have like an extra couple of $100s that you can put in that account, but then reappraise frequently of how much money do I have? Have I met the other responsibilities and met the other goals during the year that I've wanted to meet? And if you have the extra funds, then funding that account. But this is really one of the ways that at least we think about shielding some of our income from taxation right now and diversifying the taxation, of course, with the backdoor Roth IRA contributions and conversions for the future to make sure that that is going to be tax free at the time of retirement. So another thing, and we talked about this in our past episode about compensation, right? We talked a lot about FSA and I mentioned that as use it or lose it. And this is one of the things that I'm like, okay, we need to use it because this money has been sitting here and accumulating and I haven't used it throughout the year. Why am I waiting to reimburse myself for some of these receipts? So if you are like me and you're waiting until the end of the year to reimburse yourself for any glasses, contact lenses, dental work that you've had, any prescriptions that you might have paid for and used your own personal funds and have not reimbursed yourself using your FSA funds, this is the time to do it. One of the things that I like about delaying the reimbursement a little bit is it gives me additional savings to spend for the holidays. So I know sometimes people overspend or they don't really budget for the holidays. If I'm reimbursing myself for my dependent care FSA, which is $5,000, and for the limited purpose FSA, then I typically have about $7,000 after I do that to use for the holidays, which is a great way to just say, okay, this is what I have to spend. And it kind of keeps me on track. But there are other ways that I probably could have used that money throughout the year that would have been more important. So please make sure that you reimburse yourself for your FSA. Alicia, is this one thing that as soon as you like spend the money, you reimburse yourself? Do you use the FSA? Tell us how you operate in this realm.
Our FSA actually gives us the equivalent of a debit card or credit card.
Mm.
And so I just pay for the funds directly with that card. And Amazon has actually gotten pretty sophisticated now where you can actually input your FSA or HSA card into your Amazon account. And when you purchase something that is FSA or HSA eligible, it'll ask if you want to use the money from that account. So I just purchase things directly so that I don't have to keep track of receipts and things. And usually now the way that things are coded, the FSA program, they usually don't ask me to verify in expense. You don't even usually have to submit receipts or anything like that. So I use the money throughout the year. Dental visits, as you mentioned, I wear contacts, so paying for my contacts, any prescriptions. I like to buy really fancy sunscreens. And so I, will use it for sunscreens. I have an Aura ring, and that usually is like a monthly subscription. It's like $5 or something, but you can pay for it with your HSA or FSA funds. You mentioned gifts. These different activity trackers, whether it's an Apple Watch or an Aura ring or a Garmin watch or whatever, these also tend to be FSA and HSA eligible. And so can also be really good gifts that you can give to others. And so at the end of the year, what I'm doing is saying, how much money do I have left over, if any? And saying, okay, now what can I buy with that money? There is a limit to how much you can put in there. I think for individuals, 2026, it goes up, but I think it's a little over 3,000 if I'm not mistaken. Some jobs have different nuances. For example, some jobs, it is a use it or lose it, but they will give you up until like 3 months into the next year to use all the funds. Other
Mhm.
jobs will allow you to actually roll over a certain amount into the next year. So you really have to look into the nuances of your plan. But yeah, this is one of those things. Each year, I think I put in like $600 or $700. I might actually increase it for next year because I got some anticipated expenses. But this is the time of the year where I'm saying, how much do I have left over and what can I buy with that money?
One, you are educating us. So, thinking about using your FSA for gifts and giving people like healthcare related gifts is a new level. It is a new level. And as we are conceptualizing, as we discussed in the last episode, open enrollment and how much we should fund this account, maybe you can figure that out too and incorporate it so that you can give your gifts throughout or give your gifts using some pre tax dollars. So, I love that. And yes, I am so grateful for this grace period that extends into the next year because there are times when I have forgotten to use and reimburse myself with the FSA. And I'm happy that there's a little bit of rollover and a little bit of leeway that I can still do it up to. Usually it's like March that you have to submit those receipts. So that is fantastic. Taxes, taxes, taxes. It's always one of the burdens that we have as high income earners. So around this time, I think about, okay, let me look at our stock market returns. Let's look at how we've been investing our money. Do we actually need to rebalance? And how are things distributed across our intended asset allocation and what they are in actuality? And then just try to redistribute those funds, sell things, buy things so that it's in alignment with our goals. And then I also look for opportunities for tax loss harvesting. So tax loss harvesting essentially will allow you to lock in those losses from any type of investment through your taxable brokerage account. And you can use those losses to offset your capital gains first. And then after you've offset your capital gains, then you can offset up to $3,000 against your ordinary income per year. So this is one of the ways I'm like, okay, can I decrease these taxes just a little bit? How can I utilize tax loss harvesting? So when people say, oh, we're down today, I take a look to see, okay, did I lose any money today? Is there anything that I can sell, lock in those losses, and then maybe buy something that is similar but not the same because there are wash sale rules that will help me to offset some of the taxes within my portfolio, either capital gains tax or my ordinary income tax. And sometimes people have a lot of losses and just know that they don't go away. They can be carried forward for future years to offset capital gains. So Alicia, is this one thing that you're doing? Are you like checking your portfolio, your taxable brokerage accounts to see like if you have any losses that you can lock in before the end of the year?
It is not. I will be honest with you. I don't do a lot of tax loss harvesting, mainly because I have set myself up where I have really said, all right, the bulk of the money that I invest is really going to be in these tax advantaged accounts. And usually tax loss harvesting is something that you do in a brokerage account that is not tax advantaged. And so this is not something that I've done also because to me, given the wash sale rules, you got to make sure you buy something similar, but not exactly the same. And you have like a 30-day rule. You can only offset $3,000 from ordinary income, which given the tax bracket is like $1,000 in tax savings, which is like $1,000, but it's a lot of headache. And so what I tend to do is just make sure that I'm maximizing all of my pre-tax accounts. And so we talked about retirement accounts, but one thing that I didn't mention that I do have and utilize around this time of the year is my solo 401k. And so because I have my own business as well, I have opened up a solo 401k and I have a customized plan that allows me to do something called the mega backdoor Roth. So essentially around this time of the year, I can figure out, okay, what is my projected total amount of business revenue, business expenses, AKA now what is my business profit? I know I can contribute up to 20% of that into my solo 401k pre-tax. But then any additional money that I want to invest, I can do it as an after tax contribution, convert it to a Roth inside of my 401k and do all of that. And then I need to send the people that customize my 401k plan all of the details of that so that they can file all the tax forms. So instead of doing tax loss harvesting, this is the time of the year where I look at business revenue and try to maximize all of the investments into my solo 401k. So I kind of put a lot of my investment money into my solo 401k, either as pre-tax or as an after tax Roth conversion instead of doing the brokerage account. Now, next year, I've been thinking about this. Next year, I probably will do the brokerage account. I do have a brokerage account, but I use it for a different purpose. I'm not usually doing tax loss harvesting in it. I'm using it as a quote unquote giving fund for my family. And so I'll contribute money into that account monthly, invest it. And then if family needs something or I'm asked for donations, I will use it for that. But to answer your question, I'm not really doing a lot of tax loss harvesting. So that is a step that you got that I do not do.
I appreciate that you mentioned the solo 401k because I think it is really important, especially especially for us as physicians or anyone with a side gig, right? This is another opportunity to offset some of your taxable income, make additional retirement contributions in a tax advantaged way, and save money on taxes a little bit today, depending on how much you're contributing. And then if you're doing the mega backdoor, then a lot of it in retirement. And I also love that you have this account that you're utilizing to support family. And so that's another thing that is on my checklist is how much money have we given away? Do we need to give more away? And what commitments have we made in the beginning or the middle of the year that we haven't fulfilled yet? So my husband sits on a bunch of boards for nonprofit organizations. So there is a mandated amount that we must give. And you want to make sure that you make those donations by December 31st to count on your 2025 taxes. So one of the things that I've done this year, or I am doing this year, is looking at our taxable brokerage account. Instead of selling things for capital gains in order to give them the cash, what we're doing is giving them appreciated shares of stocks. Stocks that maybe I don't want in my portfolio because I didn't locate them properly and they're going to cause a lot of taxes, etc., for other reasons. Then now let me give them away, and therefore I don't have any capital gains tax on that donation. And so this is something that we're doing new this year in our charitable giving, is giving appreciated shares and giving stocks that we don't want in our portfolio anymore to charity. So this is really exciting. It's like, dang, I'm giving away stocks. I'm not giving away dollars now. I'm giving away stocks. Okay. It's a new level of charitable giving, but we always want to make sure that we lock that in by 2025 for the tax savings, but also for the charity, right? So that they can do what they need to do, especially as we see that many of the nonprofits are facing new financial challenges with some of the adjustments that have been made in the administration recently.
Yeah, this is great. And actually, a great use for a donor advised fund that will allow you to do just that in a tax advantaged way where you can make the contribution into the account, get the deduction, and then you can donate either the cash or appreciated stock in the current year or in a future year, but you still get the deduction in that year. So this is a good segue to say maybe looking into a donor advised fund for folks who are really large charitable givers. And I like what you said about donating appreciated stock. I had been thinking about this. A lot of your larger churches now will make it so that you can do a lot of your giving online. And they give you the option to give via credit card, debit card, directly from your bank, or appreciated stock or crypto or whatever. And so this is great. This allows you to save money on taxes that you would have paid on your stock and also keep your cash and allow that cash to be invested and grow over time. And so I like what you say about your charitable giving. I tend to give tithe and give to my church throughout the year, but I know some folks will instead put that money in an investment account or a savings account throughout the year and give it all at once at the end of the year or whatever. So now is your reminder to do your charitable giving. This is around at the time of the year that people not only give to churches, but to other organizations. If you are thinking about doing that, maybe setting aside some money to do your charitable giving before the end of the year and earmarking how much you want to give away and to what cause. So I agree with you. Completing all my charitable giving is totally on my to-do list as well.
All right. So this next one, Leisha, I know that you may or may not have. I'm a little curious now. I'm curious because you're always thinking about very savvy ways to make and pay your student loans. But when I'm thinking about other things to do, it is my 529 contributions for our children, right? And so they give us some state tax deductions. It's not substantial, but again, just making sure that we're still in meeting those goals that we set out for the year and locking in any tax deductions that we could potentially get. So reviewing those 529 contributions, how much did we give? Is there more space to give more? And how can we maximize it for the state tax deductions? So is this something that you contribute to for your student loans? Or is this like, nah, I don't have any kids yet, so I'll start it when I have them?
I do not use a 529 to pay my student loans. And I think what you're alluding to, Brittany, is the fact that some states will give you a state tax deduction when you contribute to a 529 plan. So theoretically, you could put money into a 529 plan, name yourself as the beneficiary, and then use the money in the 529 plan to potentially pay off your student loans and get that tax deduction that way. It seems like that's what you're alluding to. I do not go through all of those steps. I might consider it next year. The reason I didn't do it this year is because the majority of my loans were federal and I only had a few smaller private loans, and I actually paid them off at the beginning of this year. And then my federal student loans are on pause still. And because I am in a student loan forgiveness program, I don't want to pay on my loans right now when they're not, quote unquote, in this repayment period and they're still on pause. I wouldn't get any credit for paying them down essentially. And so because of that, I haven't contributed to to my federal student loans in a while. I presume that next year the pause will be lifted and will be switched into some sort of different plan, in which case my payments will resume. And I might actually consider this little tax saving hack potentially. But right now I haven't done it for the reasons I just stated. Now I do have nephews and nieces. And so I had thought about actually contributing to their 529 plans. And the reason why I did not was because I thought, well, I do want to help them through college, but I don't know if it will be help in the form of tuition. Maybe I want to contribute to them buying a car or helping them get like an apartment on campus or something like that. And so I haven't really decided how I want to use that money. And so instead of putting it in a 529 plan that must be used for education expenses, I just put that money into a brokerage account that will be invested over time. I've opted not to do the 529 plan for my nephews and niece right now, but I might do it in the future.
Okay, Leisha. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. And you're right. You know, you have to just figure out how does the tax deductions compare to the complexity of doing the things for this tax saving. So I fully agree with that. All right. So just a couple of other things always on my radar around this time of year is because I own a business is updating all of the expenses for our businesses and make sure that the bookkeeping is appropriate, seeing if there are any additional deductions that we can take advantage of, utilizing the Augusta rule for our home. And essentially the Augusta rule allows you to rent your home to your business for up to 14 days within a calendar year. And then you can use either like Airbnb to appraise the daily rate or like your local hotel or something to appraise the daily rate. So that's something that I'm always doing is, okay, did I do this or not? And also making sure that the work that Brooke has done throughout the year, that she's actually been fully compensated for all of that work so that I could get the deduction, also paying her through the calendar year so she can make that Roth IRA contribution. We have a whole episode of like how to hire your children and pay your children. And so this is one of the things that I am thinking about. And we are in the process of acquiring a business. And so it's like, now how can I use the 100% bonus depreciation that has been implemented after the One Beautiful Bill passed, maximize those tax deductions as well. Alicia, I know you do a lot of the bookkeeping for the podcast. Thank you, girl, throughout the year. Is this something that makes you a little anxious about you need to get the books up to speed? Or are you like, okay, no, I got it. I don't need to look for any other deductions for us?
I used to do it like through every expense. I would like open up an Excel file and do it right then. Now I do it on like a monthly or every other month basis, just because a lot of our expenses are kind of like on autopilot. And so there's not a lot of new expenses that we have. So it makes it a little bit easier for me to track. And that reminds me, I haven't done it in a couple of months. I probably do need to update it, but I do this sort of due diligence for my own personal business. That is really where I'm thinking, is there a deduction or something that the business expense that I haven't accounted for yet? And me thinking about, oh, have I paid for travel that I haven't gotten reimbursed for, or that sort of thing. This is also a time for me to make sure that I've gotten paid for everything that I've done and that the invoices are cleared and all of that good stuff. And so to answer your question, I do look through and see if there are any deductions, but I'll be honest, I do the most of that actually around tax time, where I will take a look and see, okay, are there other things that I need to deduct? For example, I have business credit cards and some of them have annual fees. And so I'll make sure that I add that in. I have websites. And so it's like, okay, have I paid for the domain name, Google Workshop, and like some of these other like business expenses that maybe I pay for one time during the year. I need to make sure that I've accounted for that. But to answer your question, I just do some of the big stuff. And then all of the other details I usually do around tax time, if I'm being honest.
Well, thank you for being honest. I look for additional discounts during tax time, but I found it to be very helpful for me to do it around this time of year just because, like I said, the Augusta rule you have to take advantage of during the calendar year. So we just want to make sure that we get the maximum deductions possible. All right. And so the last thing that I do is a year-end financial checkup. I look at our emergency fund. Okay, how much do we have in our emergency fund now with expenses that may have shifted? Okay, do we still need this amount? Are there other opportunities that we can utilize this money for? Or do we need to add more to this account? Also, doing a personal financial statement. This is something that I actually do every month, which I'm proud of. I don't do everything else every month, but doing a personal financial statement. Okay, what is our credit score? I pull our annual credit report once a year just to look, okay, is there anything on there that we need to account for, that we need to report or dispute? And then also looking at our assets and liabilities. This just helps me to get a really good scope on where our money is going Is it going to the right places? Are we building up our assets and decreasing our liabilities in the way that we want to? Are there additional opportunities? As we mentioned during our open enrollment episode, this is also the time that I kind of just take a look at, okay, are we properly insured as we move into 2026? Is there anything else that has changed that we need to take advantage of? I like to do these year-end financial checklists and year-end financial checkups, and also to have a meeting with my partner to say, okay, what are our goals for the next year so that we can make sure that we're aligning our actions to meet those goals.
That is a great idea. I don't know if I do this financial checkup around this time of the year, but I do something before the new year. And that is usually when I'm making my goals. So, like, usually after Christmas, before the new year, I'll take an entire day and I will dedicate it to making my goals for the next year. In this case, it'll be making my goals for 2026, on which I will pinpoint what are my personal goals, business goals, career goals, financial goals. And at that point is usually when I do that. But I like your idea of sort of doing it way before the year ends, a couple of months or so, and making sure, do I have enough of an emergency fund? Do I need to sort of prioritize building that back up? What is my credit score? I think that's a great thing. A lot of the apps nowadays will give you like an estimate of your credit score, but you actually pull your credit report. And I think that's great to kind of take a look and make sure there's nothing on there that shouldn't be on there. Taking into account of your assets and your liabilities, confirming different insurances. I probably should take this time and print out some of those documents. Oftentimes I have them saved on my computer, but Lord forbid if something happened to me, how would anybody else be able to access it? We had mentioned on a prior episode, if you have life insurance, printing out the policy. If you have disability insurance, taking time to print out the policy and organize your documents so that, Lord forbid, if something happened to you, people know where to access it. Same thing with retirement account info, making sure that you've updated your trust fund if you have it and that you put all the stuff in the trust fund. So I do think that this sort of end of the year financial checkup is really important. And if people are listening and they're partnered like you are, where they're married to somebody, where they're sharing expenses and finances, taking the time to say and make sure that you and your partner are on the same page, I think is also really important.
Awesome. So we want to ask you, what else is on this list that maybe we didn't discuss through the episode? Feel free to leave it in the comments or shoot us an email at wealthmindedmd@gmail.com. And remember that money isn't just about how much you earn, it's about how you manage it. And these moves in Q4 can help you to lower your taxes, to grow your wealth, and set you up for financial peace in 2026. So we want to learn from you. So feel free to share which move you're going to make or which things we have left off the list. All right, Leisha. So now let's talk about fun money. How are you spending your money for fun?
I have a close friend from med school who just disclosed to me that she is pregnant.
Aw.
So I'm very excited for her. I know the baby is going to be super smart because her and her husband are like some of the smartest people I know. And they are also some of the nicest and kindest people I know. And she lives in Miami. I am going to spend some fun money and buy a plane ticket. I asked her, I was like, let me know when the baby shower is. I'm going to go down. I'm going to visit you. If it's too stressful to stay at your house, she's always been telling me she wants me to stay with her. But I'm like, oh, you're pregnant. I don't know. I don't want to stress you out. I have a lot of friends that live in Miami. So I will stay with one of them, try to help her with this baby shower and shower her with love, help her enjoy the last few weeks or so of her life, I guess, before, she has a little one that she has to take care of. So I am excited to do this. This is on my to-do list and I want to visit her before the year ends. So I will be spending fun money on a plane ticket.
Oh, I've never been to Miami.
What?
I'll have to go. I don't know why, but I've been to Florida, other places in Florida multiple times, but never Miami. I'm sorry. Maybe you can give me a reason to go if there's something
So
exciting to
interesting.
do.
To me, it's like, how have you not been to Miami? But I mean, I'm from the state, right? So I've been there
Mhm.
lots of times. I have several friends that live in Miami because I went to medical school at the University of Florida. And a lot of them ended up moving back to South Florida when they finish all of their training. And so I've got like 4 or 5 of my friends from med school that live in Miami. So I actually visit them at least once a year, usually. And then my sister-in-law, one of my sisters-in-laws, she had her bachelorette in Miami and we like rented a yacht for her and did all this fun stuff for her bachelorette. And so I'm mentioning this because maybe that's a fun trip that you could do either as a couples trip with your husband or with your cousins or with your close friends, is maybe you guys can plan like a little yacht weekend in Miami.
Girl, you fancy. You are fancy. Yachts? Oh my gosh. I was just texting with my friends and I said, hey, I got my schedule for next year. Let's plan our 40th girls trip because I'll be turning 40 next year. and they were like, okay, you will not be involved with any of the planning except choosing the destination. I said, you all are not about to blow my budget now. So, Leisha, you talk about like yachts. You trying to blow my budget. Oh my
You can do it.
goodness.
You could. It's not as expensive. I mean, you don't have to rent like this 500-person yacht. You can do a yacht that maybe can house like 20 people or like 10 people and like have chef inspired food. We had lots of different food at
Mm.
different courses of the time. They had a little floaty out there if you wanted to get off the boat and like swim around or float around in the water. But we had like music going on. We had a driver of the boat, drank way too much, like all the things. It doesn't have to be this huge thing. I mean, it was still pretty pricey, but you can, I think they have different packages where you can rent the boat for like 4 hours or 8 hours or however long you want. So you can do
Okay.
it affordably is what I'm saying. And you should
Okay.
treat yourself.
I should treat myself, but I treat myself in other ways. But that's a great idea. That is a great idea, especially since I've never been. Might as well live it up, when I do visit. I am not traveling to Miami. I am buying dresses. So around this time of year, there are a lot of galas, auctions for charities, and I have kind of outworn some of the dresses in my closet. Like I've worn them once or twice, not to the same venue, but to different ones. And so I'm thinking about, okay, should I purchase a dress? Which I will likely purchase a few dresses. I'll buy them on sale. But also, we have a very, very, very robust community that loves to share and give. So a woman in the community actually brought me this fabulous dress to wear at the gala. So I'm borrowing some dresses as well. I'm buying dresses and borrowing dresses. So I'm really excited about that to see what exists there in the world, because I don't do too much shopping, and online shopping can be hit or miss sometimes. But I am going to purchase maybe 1 or 2 dresses because we have a lot of events to attend coming up soon.
Oh, take photos. I love a good dress now. Take some photos. I'd love to see you in your gala gowns and all of that.
Thank you. All right. Well, we appreciate you listening. Feel free to leave us a review, a thumbs up, some stars, so that we can promote the podcast. And if you learned anything during this episode, then do us a favor and share this with your friend. I think too often the reason why we find ourselves in kind of zones of financial stress or financial oblivion is because we don't share the knowledge that we have gathered. So share this with a friend, a lady in healthcare, a male in healthcare who you think could really benefit from this episode. And we can't wait to connect with you again next week. Take care.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Brooke. I'm recording a little disclaimer for my mommy, Dr. Brittany Halford, and her friend, Dr. Lisa Taylor. Just so you know, they're not financial advisors, tax professionals, lawyers, or financial planners. Everything you hear is for education and entertainment. It's not strict financial advice, So use your best judgment, chat with a tax professional, and all those other people that you need to talk to. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep cruising on your journey to wealth and wellness. Bye-bye.